What is up, Lock Talk family? It's your boy Jason. Let's go talk some MLB playoffs, man. The playoffs are here, but the wild card round, I'm going to go quickly through all three games, just a preview. If you want all the plays, obviously, come tap into premium. Last YouTube video, we swept the first game, and then I guess on my game pick for the Detroit and Seahawks game, that didn't hit, but nonetheless, information was all good. We went 2-1 in the props last night in premium. I did also pick the Seattle Seahawks. I did think they were going to cover that spread. They had many chances to do so. They actually got some really unfavorable calls, especially in that end zone with the 2-point conversion, pass interference on Metcalf. So it is what it is, man. But we are back. Baseball, let's go talk about it. This might be the last few videos we do, as you know, the playoffs will come to an end. This is the first round of the wild card, so let's quickly go through it. So, but before I do go off, I did put something again special in that pinned comment. Also, I did put something special so you guys can tap in for a week. I will have a bunch of new partners coming up, especially as the NBA season comes around, and I cannot wait for that, man. We've been absolutely killing it. We have WNBA today. Obviously, we have 2 games here. Not going to talk about these. I only usually do one play. We're on a 24-10 and WNBA season run. And not only that, we are 7-1 in our last 8 games I've given out in WNBA. So if you do want to tap in, that's going to be for my premium guys and girls. But let's get it going, guys. Let's talk about this first game. The Detroit Tigers against the Houston Astros. And we know we got obviously some really, really good series. But let me talk about this game. Astros are -148 favorites at home, playing in Houston. The one thing I will say is it's the matchup that really matters the most to me right now. It's really this right here, the starting pitchers, Skubal against Framber Valdez. Detroit has been struggling against left-handed pitching over the past month. They've been effective against lefties, ranking 27th in OPS and WRC plus over the last 14 days and the full season. The Tigers haven't produced really well against good left-handed pitchers. Justin Steele, Martin Perez, and I honestly wouldn't even put Martin Perez in that upper echelon at all. Framber's actually probably been one of the best, if not the best, left-handed starters in the MLB, especially for this Astro team. He has been in really, really good form. He's been dominating, man, with a 1.91 ERA, 0.9 WHIP, 2.5 xFIP over his last 13 starts. And his home starts, man, he's only had a 0.9 WHIP and a 2.3 xFIP. So, I mean, that's excellent. So, I really think the Detroit's, they have their work cut out for him if Framber can stay in this form. Obviously, this is the playoffs. The urgency is much, much different, but that's what I will say this. The last 2 games that the Detroit did play, all the games that didn't play will have been urgency. So, it's not like this all of a sudden is even maybe more urgent. Like, their life was on the line technically in the last month. Obviously now they're in the playoffs, they're in the grand stage. How do they perform now? On the other side, obviously we have Tariq Skubal, maybe the Cy Young winner, probably the top 2 against Chris Sale. First starting pitchers, he's a left-handed pitcher and he's been excellent, but Houston has been excellent against lefties, man. They're top 5 in all advanced metrics, indicating that they have, you know, some edge right here, man. Even though Skubal has been excellent, the Astros have consistently scored off left-handed pitchers in their recent matchups. So, you know, let's take a look also kind of where, let's see if I can pull up where the money's been. But we took a look at the money, obviously, -130 open. This line has been attacked by the public. Detroit, obviously, you get them at big dogs. The one thing I'll say about this is if you have not had experience betting playoff baseball, this is a little bit different than the normal season. So not to telegraph my pick too much, but I'm going to go with the Houston Astros laying the -148. If you get -145, maybe you can find another book. Let's take a look at the best books. Looks like FanDuel has the best line right now, -148 on FanDuel. Go get it over there. Obviously, don't bet DraftKings or Caesars. You're basically paying 7 cents more for no reason. If you guys do need some help getting on these books, I do have a link down below. Get the best book you can. Get some bonus money and bet with their money, not your money. But yeah, give me the Houston Astros as my game pick. I like the Astros in this game. I'm gonna lay the juice, man. Like, experience also will come to a factor. I mean, a lot of these Astro guys have been here before. Not saying that just because you have experience means you're automatically going to win. but I do think it will help a little bit, especially because this Tigers team, they're young. Maybe there's a chip on their shoulder. These are some X factors you obviously cannot cap, but I think the matchup for the Astros, at least for this first game, if Framber can stay in his form, and even if Tariq does very well, Astros do have the bullpen advantage as well. So I like the Astros in this spot. All right, guys, let's talk about the next game. We got the Kansas City Royals against the Baltimore Orioles. This is a 4 p.m. Eastern time start. And let's go take a look at this matchup, man. So we have two starting pitchers, obviously, I think some of their best ones of the season. Cole Reagan's left-handed pitcher against Corbin Burns. This is a tough one, man. I'm not going to lie. It's a very, very tough game. Let me go through my notes really quickly. Burns, 2.9 ERA over the last few weeks, 1.10 whip. But the one thing I will say is that the Royals have been terrible, man. 29th in WRC plus and OPS over the last 2 weeks. And these were days that the Royals really needed to win. So, I mean, where do we honestly go from here? Can you really trust the Royals bats? Corbin Burns has been pitching very well. Have the Baltimore Orioles been stellar? Absolutely not. But the Royals have been super underwhelming. My main question is, do they wake up now that they're in the playoffs? I don't know. They almost lost it. Like, it's really about momentum. They've had pretty much no momentum, even though they won their last game against Atlanta, a key game. But nonetheless, I mean, they've been pretty terrible. They lost all their games against the Giants, games that they really needed to win in those games. Like, their season was on the line in a lot of these games. They did win against the Nationals. Good for them. But, I mean, Baltimore Orioles have been in a much better state. They've won 70% of their last 10 games. Not saying that is the biggest deal, but I do think Corbin Burns, given how poorly the Royals have been hitting, can do well. I mean, he's been one of the better starters. And, you know, their bullpen's nothing to be crazy about, but, you know, I think they could do okay if Kansas City continues to hit this poorly. KC, on the other hand, they have Cole Reagan's pitching. He's been excellent, bro. I mean, I love Cole Reagan's. But, you know, the Orioles, they've also not been super overwhelming at all either. Let me see. I mean, look, their stats against right-handed pitching has been okay. They've been average ever since the All-Star break. They've not been hitting as well versus the first half of the season. The one thing I do want to say is that I think Baltimore has the bullpen edge. Their bullpen is pretty valid, man. They ranked 5 in ERA and xFIP over the last 14 days. Royals bullpen also has been strong, but I think Baltimore has been more consistent. I don't love this play, but if I had to lean with a side, I kind of got to lean with Baltimore, even though I'm going to lay the juice. I do like a prop in this game. I might have to give that to premium, though, but I'm not. If I have to really pick a side, I'm going to have to lean with the Orioles. I think the Orioles have the better bats, the better start. I mean, the pitching in the starting line is probably even. Overall in the season, I will say the Orioles, I actually trust them a lot more against lefties than righties versus the prior seasons. So, not my favorite game on the board. I think it's a very tough one because both teams have been so underwhelming. But give me the Orioles. All right, in the next game. So this one's going to be interesting. The next two. We have the New York Mets against the Milwaukee Brewers. And let's see. Let me talk about the Milwaukee Brewers really quick. All right, so we got the Milwaukee Brewers and the New York Mets. New York just played a doubleheader just like the Atlanta Braves have. Last game, they just made it. They went 1-1 in that doubleheader. You know, is that going to be a big deal? We'll see, but I'll say this. Milwaukee, Freddie Peralta starting. He was supposed to be by far their best pitcher. I think he's okay. I don't love Freddie Peralta. There's some people that really love him. I think he is an average type pitcher, to be honest. Milwaukee has been a better starting team at home. And Brewers have been able to capitalize against weak opponents. They actually beat the Mets last time they played in a game that they didn't really need to win. They absolutely dusted them. Mets need to win that game and couldn't pull it off. On the Mets, they're going to have Severino, who, in my opinion, has not been in good form. He's given up 3 or more earned runs in their last 3 games. And I think the Brewers offense could be ready, man. I mean, Milwaukee has had recent success, and they've been able to capitalize on Severino in the past, and they may be able to capitalize on this bullpen given how torched up they may be from that Braves series. Peralta may struggle. That's my only concern on betting on a side here. But, you know, the big question mark is really on the Mets. Their bullpen, how will they do? Mets are coming off a doubleheader. Their bullpen's exhausted. Key relievers like Edwin Diaz, Adam Ottavino are not available. So it's more likely that even if the game is close, maybe if the Mets have an early lead against Peralta, which is very possible, the Brewers can get to that Mets bullpen, especially because the Brewers actually have a very, very strong bullpen. So my game pick, I hate betting favorites, man. I think there are other ways to play, but I'm just gonna give game picks. I would either lean with Milwaukee or the over on this game, given the things I said. I think Peralta could give up runs. I think Severino could give up runs. And I think that Mets bullpen can give up runs. So 7.5 is probably one of the higher totals on the board in the playoffs. Like playoffs, they put all their best pitchers back to back, even from the relieving side. They put anything they got. Every game's in point innings. In the wild card, it's a best of 3. So I don't know. I like the Brewers, though. I like the Brewers and the over. But the Brewers pick's not confident. I don't really trust Peralta. The Mets can definitely get to him. We've seen the Mets all season long pull big runs out their pockets, man. So, yeah, that's how I go. The over or the Brewers would be my game pick for this game. And all right, the last game on the board, we got the Atlanta Braves against the Padres. And, oh, man, the Braves, they look like they were going to guarantee themselves in the playoffs. Then they lost that first game in dramatic fashion. But let me start by saying this. The Atlanta Braves don't have a starting pitcher here, but it was supposed to be either Max Fried or Chris Sale. It sounds like from the Atlanta reports that that's not going to happen. And the Braves will likely use, I would say, less elite pitchers as A.J. Smith-Schuster, Ian Anderson, or Bryce Elder. In my opinion, this gives an edge to the Brewers because if they don't use a left-handed starter, a right-handed starter will definitely have some problems. Padres are one of the best right-handed hitting teams all season long, one of the best in terms of contact and things like that. Michael King has been kind of a thorn in my butt, but he's still been excellent in many games. The big thing is the Braves bullpen, just very similarly to the Mets analysis. How will they do? I mean, they have an excellent bullpen, but they use up a lot of guys in that Mets series. Obviously, in that last game, they needed to secure that win in order to even be in this position. So, Padres are third in baseball with a 116 WRC plus against right-handed pitching. And this makes it up, in my opinion, this change in the starting pitcher makes it favorable for the Padres. Michael King's been fairly dominant over his last 20 games. 30% K rate, 2.5 xFIP. And the Padres have one of the best bullpens, if not the best bullpen in the MLB. The Dodgers obviously got to him in their little series. They could have probably been not in this position if they would have won a few of those games, but their bullpen actually did give up a bunch of runs. So in this game, I mean, I guess you kind of go with my drift, man. I like the Padres, bro. I mean, I know it sucks. Like, I've gave out 4 straight favorites, but I can't really argue for the Braves or the Mets or even the Royals. Maybe in the first game, maybe in the Royals game, you could maybe lean with the Royals. I do think there's a chance the Royals can win that game for sure. Even the Mets, I do think the Mets have a chance. Just that bullpen's a little scary though. So I'd say among the favorites, I think the Padres and the Astros are probably, in my opinion, like the better sides. But of course, you're gonna lay juice laying the Padres now. I actually looked at these lines. I looked at the Padres earlier today. They were at the minus 140 range at one point. Now I guess they bumped up to minus 160. The one thing I will say is throughout the season, Padres run line, if they win at home, they've usually covered. So I wouldn't be too mad if you did like a Padres plus 136. You could also do maybe first 5. So if you did Padres run line the first 5, you could also do that. That's let's see. Oops, no. But yeah, minus 115 at the half run the first 5, which I don't dislike. However, I will say you would want to try to do the long-term game because let's say they start Elder. Elder's actually pretty good, but you want to attack that weak bullpen. But I do also like maybe a Padres first 5. It's going to be tough to go with the Braves, even though the Braves have been hitting pretty well. Michael King, he's done well over the season, but I mean, he's been in some spots where he's gotten torched up. So I don't 100% trust him, but he is very good. So, all right, guys, thank you so much if you got through this entire video, make sure you go to that pinned comment, grab yourself a package, use that discount, or find a way to get a free week with us in premium. Until the next one, guys, good luck.